What material options should you consider before building a cedar fence? So up first is the board grade. This is showing 3 different options, and there's actually even more options than that, but these are our most popular options. These are a rough sawn cedar, so what that means is it's gonna have some fuzzies and furries on it. It's not all sanded smooth. Starting with the least favorable option, we have a number 2 and better board. This in the middle here is a number 1 and better board. And then over here on the right is what we call a clear board. A number 2 and better board is going to have some defects, more knots. A number 1 board is going to have less knots than a number 2. Again, it's coming from the mill, so it's unspecified on how many knots and all of that, but it's gonna have less knots. And then the clear is, for the most part, free of defect. So very little or no knots at all. If there are knots in a clear board, it's usually gonna be about the size of your pinky, hopefully not much bigger, but the mill is gonna regulate that depending on the type of material they have coming in. Depending on which board you go with, it's going to drastically change the overall look of your fence. If you have an entire backyard and you use a board that has lots of knots, that's going to be, one look, versus if you go with a clear board like this over here on my right, it's going to look a little bit more modern, a little bit higher end with no knots and more of a clean, smooth board. So that's the first thing to consider. And along the board grade line, we can also install like a hardwood fencing, which is going to really increase the cost, but it also increases the look, as well as a smooth or sanded cedar board, more like what you would find on like a higher end privacy screen or deck or something like that. So again, there's other options, but these are just our 3 main options here.